So a few more of the bads, Brian. C# is used very often in web development, and it's pretty much used specifically for Windows IIS.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to do some stuff with Apache, although technically you could, it just integrates way too good with IIS, and a lot of companies that run down the C# route are stuck purchasing very expensive servers to host IIS and very expensive software to host IIS.
And a lot of the advantages of C# and ASP, you can really only get on IIS,
Yep.
and ASP really has to be run on IIS.
Yep.
And IIS is doggedly slower than Apache. I mean, you can't
Absolutely.
even compare the two.
Nope.
So if you really want, anything outside of an internal application, if you want it to be a really widespread, wide-used, application to the masses, you're going to have a really tough time running it on IIS unless you just have hundreds of servers,
Yeah.
and a very complicated structure. I mean, you're going to be seeing nasty performance hits just on the fact that you're running on IIS.
Yeah. And the mobile development only officially is used on Windows mobile devices, except for the Mono, like Brian was mentioning earlier, that there are some extensions for Mono for iOS.
Right. But you just don't generally see them very often. And Windows Mobile is a little, at least at this point in time,
A little,
not really
a
that
little
cool.
wobbly? Is that
a little wobbly, yeah.
So, Brian, we had a little bit of a discussion before. So we kind of talked a little bit before about the environment that we're going to work in. And just like in all the tutorials that we do here at Whippet.net, we like to get out of the way what we plan to do as far as our lab content. So this is going to be kind of a nice, fun hybrid for all of you guys. We're going to be jumping from Windows to Linux and just kind of having exposure to both environments. So we're going to be using Microsoft Windows at first, then we're going to jump into Ubuntu Linux. So if you guys are familiar with that, we're going to kind of show you how to get started with that. We're going to be using the Microsoft.NET framework, and the IDEs that we're going to be using are Mono at first, and then we're going to be jumping into Visual Studio Express, which is the free edition of Visual Studio.
Cool. We always like free stuff here. So just a quick warning, we will be sporadically introducing random classes throughout our lessons. One of the things that we try to do in previous courses is to make sure that you get a pretty good exposure to the types of objects that you'll see in classes. Anything from, the string object itself to sockets to, you name it, math libraries and stuff. So a lot of these classes that we'll come across in .NET shouldn't really be that foreign.
Yeah.
Especially if you've gone through Java, you're going to be, oh yeah, it's like this class,
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be kind of just sporadically introducing you. We're not going to sort of march you through all of these classes.
Mm-hmm.
So just to be aware, and again, our recommended course structure is to kind of go through C++, Java, and then C#. But it's up to you, and you'll probably be fine one way or another. Also, the .NET framework is so interconnected that it's just inevitable that we're going to be doing a lot with .NET framework objects.
Yep.
And we'll make sure to try to point out to you that okay, now this is something that's in the .NET framework,
Right.
and it'll become very apparent as we go on.
Once you get past the concept of we're going to be using this namespace, there's a class in this namespace, I mean, you should already be beyond that point. The Whippet.net model is grab your hand as a baby and then bring you into a big, bad, ridiculously awesome developer.
But we do understand and appreciate the fact that Java developers and C# developers kind of have the Ford Chevy thing going.
Chevy runs deep.
Yeah, and so people who want to learn C# have absolutely no interest in learning Java. People who want to learn Java have absolutely no interest in learning C#. So we understand that, and we'll try to be slightly sympathetic to the fact that you may have skipped the Java course, but it really, we can't recommend it strong enough that it would be good for you to go through that first. And it's worth knowing. It really is.
We try not to preach loyalties at Whippet.net except for Visual Basic. That's probably the only exception.
Because Visual Basic really sucks.
I mean, Visual Basic, oh my god. I can't wait for the VB Sucks course that we may do someday. I don't know.